And welcome back to a nice stroll on the beach. If you're strapped for health items here, you can lure the fish onto land and then let them suffocate and turn into fish to give you items that will recover half your health. And I'm just going to bypass all of these guys. Well, all the ones that I can. Because really, there's not much to do here on the beach except get that chest, which I can't do just yet. And I'll show you how to a little later on, but we're going to go from here into the forest. Now, it's possible to go back to your town since it's supposedly under attack by Silver Armlet's goons, but we're going to do something a little different because if you try going there, you'll eventually reach a point where you can't progress anymore. So, by the way, if you want to summon a Freet for anything, there's a little camp of rats over here with a fire that you can use for that. But we're not going to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is head north. And you'll notice off to the side, there's a crystal where you can summon Shade. If you keep going to the right, it dead ends with an ogre. I love the bat sound in this game, especially when it stacks on top of each other half a dozen times. And thank you, bats. And you can get, I think it's garlic from him, which covers a little health and spell points. But just keep running through here and the zombies will never catch you. Now we're going to head to the right, and now we can use the crystal to summon Shade. Which we do want to do, because, well, two reasons actually. Number one, when you head down here, and keep going down, and head off to the right, you'll find a gap with a post on the other side. And this, the opening in the wall at least, is the forest shrine. But we're not going to go there yet. Instead, we're going to go back to the beach. Because you remember that chest that was on the other side of the wooden fence and we couldn't reach it at all? Well, we're going to do something about that. Although first I'm going to try and take care of these guys because... Oh, that's the thing about these guys is that their attack delay is much smaller than the other units we've been fighting to this point. But anyway, once these guys are taken care of, now we use Shade's ability to crack open the chest and drag the crystal through the fence. Shade's ability there is kinda spontaneous as far as like, well, not spontaneous, very picky about what it can go through and what it can't. Like that fence it could go through. If I tried reaching something, say, through these trees, I would not be able to reach it with Shade. But now we're going to backtrack all the way back to the forest entrance, and here's a jump cut. Something important to note, if you try summoning something and then go off screen before it actually appears, it won't actually summon. You have to wait for it to appear before you can go off screen again. Now, there's something else in this area that we can't quite reach yet. If you go along this narrow platform, there's a chest here. And as I mentioned before, Shade can't go through trees, so we can't reach that yet. But for now, we are going to head into the forest shrine. Now, it's very tempting here to run forward to try and get a better vantage on this gargoyle. But if you do that, you'll summon the other gargoyles. So I'm just trying to fight it on this little narrow stretch, which isn't too bad, because when it does its dive attack at you, it will typically just go right over your head. See, these things spawn almost as soon as you move forward into this room of the dungeon. And there's really not much to say about this in particular, although when they do the dive attack, it is possible to hit them before they hit you. So you don't need to move out of the way, it's just better in case you can't get the attack timing down. And killing these guys will open up the way we came as well as the door on the left. Now this is annoying. So we're going to summon a Freet. That chest in the middle that's moving around, it's a mimic. And we have to kill it to spawn the actual treasure chest. And that hitbox was amazing. Nice job, Freet. And now we're going to try and carefully crack open the chest, of course, and grab the key. And we're going to have to go through that room several more times. I'll show you a relatively simple way to get through that, actually. Now here, there's going to be a bunch of rats that spawn. And when you walk near the door, the ogre spawns as well. The only thing you have to do in this room is kill the ogre. Because when you do that, it'll spawn a key to get through the next room. Killing the rats isn't going to do anything. They will just keep spawning. And there's the key. Now I am going to try and clear out the rats a little bit because of that unlit torch on the wall, which I am going to light by blowing it up. That comes into play later. There's going to be a bunch of unlit torches in this room. Okay, here is a kind of a tricky thing, although there is a somewhat simple way to do this. What you gotta do is recognize that they can only shoot in 8 directions and find a gap in between them. And then if you have hyper bombs, you can just use those to take out one of these and make your life a little easier. And now we're going to move to the top of the screen, stand in between the shots, and we are just in range to be able to take it out with a knife. I know I'm taking a bit of a risk with my health at this point, but Shade is right there, and he's going to basically act as my bodyguard for this next part. Now we have to go back through here, and you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and kill these guards. By the way, a fun fact, if you don't kill all these guards, all of them will respawn and you'll have to do it over again. Once you kill them all, they don't respawn. Which, what the hell? So, the bomb guy just clipped through the ice crystal and now I can't reach him. I have never seen that before. Nice job, dude. But anyway, now we're going to go ahead and summon a Freet, and I actually made a mistake here, so I'm going to jump cut back. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and light this unlit torch using the bombs that I got, and then I'm going to jump cut back. Get used to doing this a lot, by the way. There's going to be a whole lot of backtracking in this dungeon. This is easily the most complex thing we've dealt with so far in the game. But we need a Freet to take out that ice crystal. We're going to light this unlit torch. Now we got to go back and summon Shade again. You're going to be doing this a lot in the dungeon too, figuring out what spirit you got to summon when. Oh, damn it. Hold on. Now there's a chest over here, and this has yet another key. This key we're going to have to use over where Shade was summoned. And I keep getting rid of him because even though we're technically inside the dungeon, we can still recover spell points. So you're going to see me dropping elementals a lot. This will summon those 2 chests. Those 2 chests aren't necessary, but they're nice to have because of what's in them. And now we have access to this area, and hope you like moving platforms. Also, there's several campfires in this area. I'm ducking with the bombs because he tends to roll them more than throw them, and it's easier to hit your targets that way. And that will take us over here. break open yet another chest, and got some nice lettuce. Ollie's starting to eat healthier these days. And this part of the moving platforms can be a little tricky. I'm going to move up here, and I got a bad cycle, so I'm going to wait before I make this jump. There are a couple of different ways to approach this. There's an area to the left and an area to the right. If you stand right at the top edge of this platform, and that one platform that's above me goes down toward it, you will automatically be placed onto that moving platform. But here are the chests that we spawned earlier, and they have an orange and a shade gem. Don't mind me doing a little inventory management. This is one area where you might not want to sacrifice health point items for spell point items. Because it is incredibly easy to rack up a ton of damage on Ali in this dungeon. That's a tricky jump to make. You have to be right near the edge. And we lit all the campfires, which spawns whatever these are. Each one of them has like 4 different forms to go through where they get smaller but move faster. And one of these spawned at every campfire we lit. And for whatever reason, bows just go directly through them. Now, for some reason, they slow down a lot when they reach the edge of this platform that I'm standing on, which makes it a little easier to deal with these things. But I'm just trying to like lure them all into one area and then take them out with regular knife swipes. And now that that's over with, you heard the sound like something just opened up? Well, if we move over to the right of the screen, there it is, by the way, just clipping onto that platform, we have one of these chests, and it has a key in it. And do not forget to light these torches. You don't want to be in that situation where you missed all but one and you have to figure out which one you didn't light up. Anyway, now that we have that key, we're going to head through the door on the left. And this is a really unassuming room. You just gotta light this here, and then break this open, and now we have a different key. So, since I still want you to see where exactly I'm going to use all this stuff, but backtracking is kind of boring, let's speed this up a little. And we're going to head back through here. Now there's a specific path you can take through these spike things where you just won't get touched by them. And you just saw it right there. And over here, I mistimed this jump and wound up getting hit by the boulders. But you can just jump through those spikes and not get hit by anything. Now, we're going to want to get that ice crystal out of the way, so we'll want to summon a freak. Once it realizes that I'm not standing on the stairs. And we have these things again. It's a really good idea to go in with a freak, because crowd control is a must for this area. Now, this is where you might end up getting stuck the first time you play through this. Because something very specific happens when you destroy, kill, whatever, all these things. A chest appears, but that's not the only thing that happens. Water is dripping from the ceiling, and we will need that to summon Ditto. You can make it a little easier by just standing underneath the droplets and using the gauntlet there, because it'll just instantly hit the water instead of you trying to time it up while standing from further away. Oh, come on, Ditto. Ditto, please. There you go. You don't have to get rid of this one, I just prefer it, because I usually just jump down the platform instead of taking the stairs. This room is hell. Now, this is not like the one room where the rats spawned a lot and you could just not deal with them. You have to kill all the zombies in this area. And it's usually just a good idea to keep Ditto out for this section, because again, it is really, really easy to take a ton of damage from these things. Especially the purple ones, because they have the faster attack. Now, they're not too difficult to deal with when they're just standing up, but when they lose a certain amount of health, the bottom half of their bodies disappear, and they just become like a torso with arms that lunges at you. And when that happens, I don't know if I want to say it's a good way to deal with them, but a pretty good way to deal with them is to just start crawling towards them, and then as soon as they get in range, just do the quick stab forward while you're ducking. If you feel like counting these zombies, feel free to go ahead, because every time I try, I lose count with exactly how many there are, because they just keep spawning. It is actually possible, by the way, kind of like how when the gargoyle dives, there's a brief moment where you can hit it with a regular standing attack. There's one of those moments with the crawling iteration of the zombie 2. But it is really tricky to do, and I usually just do the crawling stab. Now, if you want to, you can try luring these things into a group, kind of like what I do with the soldiers. But the purple ones don't like to cooperate with that. You'll see them sometimes just randomly milling around the room. And they tend to do it a little more than the blue ones do. Like, most of the time in this area, I have to go after the... Actually, are they purple, pink? The not blue ones. Let's call them that. I'm colorblind, get off me. Something else you can do in this area, if you're more offensively minded, is you can light up the torch on the side, and then use that to summon a Freet. Or you can just go in here with a Freet still summoned. I just prefer to go in here with Ditto, because heals. That, and I really don't want to use too many health items in this dungeon. Okay, it looks like they're starting to thin out a bit, so I should be almost done with this room. This is by far the room that I hate the most. Oh, garlic! And one more, that should do it. Alright. Now doing that opens up the next area. Don't forget to light the torch. Now, you might be wondering what exactly the switch does, but you gotta pay attention for this. You hit the switch, go back to the next room, look to the left. There you go. Now we go in here, and there's a secret in this room. First off, we're going to grab the key and light the torch. But there's something about this wall. I'm going to use a hyper bomb since it just takes one of these. And don't forget to light the torch. Seriously, do not forget to light any torches. You're supposed to have shade out for this area so you can do the decoy thing. But what I'm going to do is use the hyper bomb since they have a longer fuse and simply run over to the next switch. You have just enough time to pull this off. And we get a fire gem. Now we're going to backtrack a little, but this isn't too bad. We're just going through the same door that we went through before. I almost went the wrong way. It's so easy to get lost in this dungeon. Now, this one's pretty obvious. You just push the boulder onto the switch. And that'll do a thing. We grab the key. And now, we run all the way to the right. And while we're down here, we're going to hit the teleporter, and that'll take us here. Now, some of you who are paying attention might have noticed, I forgot to light a torch. We're going to remedy that later. But for now, open the chest. Bam, Shade Gem. Missing that one torch isn't too bad because we're going to come through part of that area again later. But now we got to go all the way back to the previous section. And we're going to go through the section of moving platforms again. And when we get through all this, we're going to head through the door on the left. Now the blockage is clear. And that leads us right back here. See, missing that one torch isn't too bad. And while we're up here, we can crack open this chest and grab yet another key. It's tempting to summon Shade here, but, you know what? Whatever. And now we're going to jump back down here and get this torch. Now here's why it's okay to miss that torch at the bottom like I did before. If you hit that teleporter, it brings you back to the beginning of this area. And by the way, you might want to summon a Freet, because reasons. You can do it later, but it's more convenient to do it there. You'll see why in a moment. Anyway, run through this area. And we're back at the beginning. All the doors shut. And crap will start falling from the ceiling. Look who's back. Now I'm just going to use the same trick that I did before, where you lure it into punching over and over. You can use the Death Sword if you want. I just use the Broad because I'm trying to save the Death Swords. Wow, that was a really good cycle. I got like more than half of his health down. He's a bit stronger than he was before, and the rock placement when they fall tends to be a little more annoying to deal with. I haven't actually been able to gauge whether or not it's based on where you're standing or where you're moving to. And we've just about got him down. Now, don't be fooled into thinking that this is the boss of the Forest Shrine, because it's not. This is the mini-boss of the Forest Shrine. And stand back so we don't get hit with those. And now we can finally go through the central door because we didn't forget any torches. Alright, there's a couple of things you can do here. For one, this has another Death Sword in it, so I'm going to go ahead and drop the 19 uses of the Broadsword. And I'm going to pick up the 30 uses of the Death Sword. There's an SP item here too, and because I went through most of this dungeon without using too many health items, I'm just going to go ahead and use... Let's see, which one? Yeah, why not? I still have the two others to back me up, so not too broken up about losing those. Now here, you can summon all three of the elementals that you've rescued until now. Some people like to go into this with Ifrit, but I'm going to go in with Shade, because the boss of this area is, well, I hope you like moving platforms. Now, we have to defeat that sorcerer in the middle of the room, and it's not going to be easy because 1, moving platforms, 2, he shoots out lightning in a big circle, and 3, after a while, he will summon... how do I describe it? He summons this thing, which shoots lightning at you. It's like one of those creepy interpretations of like a coughing or something. But it's poisonous, it shoots lightning at you when it's close enough, and I'm just going to use the Death Sword for this entire fight. What you might be tempted to try and do is try and hit the sorcerer with bow shots. But the thing is, if you just stand like on the platform going around this area and try to hit the sorcerer, your bow shots will fall just short of him. It's still possible to hit him with a bow from these platforms that are further out. But it's not as good. Oh, God damn it. This is why I took Shade with me. Not just to protect me from shots, but to also carry me out of the pit when I fall. Now, even when we do manage to get past whatever the hell this thing is, dodge all the lightning shots, and get on the platform that's closest to him, it's still going to be a little tricky because we'll need to be standing pretty close to the edge of the platform to be able to hit him with the sword at least. Okay, here we go. See how much damage this death sword is doing to him? Oh, damn it. And that's a relatively simple fight. If you want to, you can wait for the other platform to go around, but you can jump to the edge of this area and make it through here just fine. And after all of that, we have managed to get Bo. And is it just me, or does Bo... You know what? I'll mention that later. All I'm going to say is Bo might be my favorite looking one. Just because of all these different, like, facial animations that he has. You might be a little thrown off by the move underground option, but there is a good reason for that, because Bo is a plant. And as a plant, he can't exactly move around on his own very well. He's stuck basically wherever he gets summoned until you have him come to you. Now, he won't do the bite attack unless there's something nearby for him to actually attack. And this is how you move him around, is with the underground move. And this is what happens when you do the pollen thing. It's basically like frame lag. But is it just me, or does Bo look like those plant things when you go down the pit in Battletoads? Whatever. Anyway, next time on Beyond Oasis, we will head back into town and see what exactly happened there that the wise man was warning us about.